and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing the updated setup for my Louis Vuitton medium ring monogram agenda and talking about daily planning. We're also going to be setting this planner up for the month of April, and I have things prepped for that. As you can see here, we'll get into this. So if you saw maybe my most recent plan, maybe the one before that, I talked about my page flag system, how I like do something a little bit different than what most people do with page flags for a weekly view. And so I decided to kind of also have a different system, but similar system in place for the daily view to help me with using a daily planner. And so in this video, I'm going to discuss switching from personal to FC compact, because that's what's in here. The differences in the size, why I like the difference, my current thoughts on this setup, because I've been using it for about maybe a week and a half, 2-ish weeks now. And then what hasn't worked in the past and what I'm putting in place so that hopefully it works now, as well as why I'm going into daily planning. So a lot in this video, so it might be a little long. So hopefully it's helpful, and hopefully y'all really like it. So let's go ahead and let's just go into, first of all, the switch itself. So if you've been following me for a bit, I had a 2025 planner system update at the beginning of the year. I always do it on New Year's Day, maybe New Year's Eve, one of those. And then I shared that I had an FC, I purchased FC Compact Daily inserts from Infinite Lotus. They were dated, and I had, I just wanted to try FC Compact. So by Shannon Reynolds on Instagram and YouTube, incredible channel. Check her out, especially, she does planners and handbags too. So it's really nice, to see like both content, right? Like as I share both content, but she actually, has the monogram agenda. Yeah, I think it's the monogram agenda. And she was using FC Compact, and it made me really want to switch. I've seen people, I think I've seen maybe one other person online, I can't remember who it was, share it. But when she did the full setup of FC Compact and she talked about the size, and I got to see like the detailed version of her setup, it made me purchase FC Compact. And I mentioned that in like the setup video when I just put that in the medium ring. Because I just wanted to try it. And so I've been using it for work. It hasn't been part of my main setup, as y'all have seen. I haven't been doing content on it, primarily because I was just trying it out, right? And so that's typically what I do with my Epi agendas. So I have the entire collection set line, let's go with line, of the vintage Louis Vuitton Epi agendas. And vintage, these are probably 20 plus years old. They have the gold hardware, and that's why I got the vintage ones, because I'm not a silver person, to be honest. But I love gold, right? Like that's my like go-to. And so I just think it looks so much cleaner. And I love vintage Louis Vuitton, as y'all know. But I also just love the Epi in general, because it's just so, you know, quiet luxury, right? And so I have this entire set, and I primarily use them for reference. So I'll store inserts in here when I'm experimenting, right? Like what I was doing with the FC Compact, I'll use those. But I primarily use them when I'm going to work, school, or somewhere where I just don't want the monogram. If I'm traveling, typically it's for work or school, and so I'll switch into the Epi. If it's for personal and I'm bringing my planner and it's just like I'm bringing it to like study, right, or something, or to like catch up on things, I might not switch. It really all depends. And like I always talk about when I switch in my Plan With Me's and my travel videos, but for the most part, like that's when I use the Epi. And then any other time, like every day, they don't get used as much as my monogram. I have my monograms first. I don't know, I just love them. For me, like this is always going to be the main version that I'm using, if that makes sense. But anything like professional, I'm always going to prefer to use this. So like personal, professional, frequent home use, right, which I'm home most of the time, versus going out use. So I think that's like the difference for me when it comes to the different designs. Do I need all these agendas? No, but I love them. And I love like vintage luxury, as y'all know, as well as just luxury pieces. These are pieces that I'm always going to have, right? I've always had a planner in my life since I was probably like 6 or 7 when they give you the free ones at school. Like I always have used a planner, and I have always wanted these pieces. So I know I'm going to use them as, you know, probably forever, to be honest. So, and then this is also stuff that I could end up giving kids one day. So pieces like this, right? And as we can see, they hold up incredibly. But all that to be said, what I typically do is, again, go back and forth. And so what I decided to do is, because I was using the medium ring as a reference agenda, to me, it just made sense to move this to the epi, which I again use for reference, right? Or I use for storage, because I've talked about it in like planner system videos, different things like that, especially my most recent one when I mentioned there will be changes. I'm only going into these a few times a week because of like what's in here, right? So it's content, finances, and just notes and lists that really I could use maybe once a week, 2 times a week, maybe at most. But like, I haven't really used the content section, so I should probably switch that up. We'll get into that in a different video. Finances, I do paycheck budgeting, so I only update my finances twice a month. And then references and lists, like I just need that as needed. So to me, it made sense to move all this in here. And because I wanted to incorporate a daily, or let me rephrase, there's a few things I went into me switching to the FC Compact. So I wanted to replace an hourly system. So I don't have an hourly anymore. If y'all remember, I was using the week on 4-page inserts in my A6 agenda. I took those out because I just didn't need it. I just feel like they weren't working for me, like both sides. So for sure, the task side of those, I stopped using, but I still liked having the hourly. Hourly for me, I am such a visual person. I always mention it. I always need an hourly in some capacity. Lately, since my priority has been work, I haven't needed to really see it visually. However, I have been gravitating towards the FC Compact inserts, right? These daily inserts that I have whenever I have needed it, because I was using these for work as I was trying them out, since I already had them and they were dated and they were just gonna go to waste if I didn't use them. So I was like just using pretty much pen and like using these for work for an hourly view for what I needed. And then that's kind of what got me slowly interested into the FC Compact. And so that's kind of where we're at today. So this is initial setup. Obviously it's a work in progress, but this is also the most simple layout that I think I've ever had, because there's like 2 things in here. So I'll probably need to update decoration at some point. I was trying to find, let's go into what's on the rings. I was trying to find a matching planner card for this vellum that I have here. So I have this quote card that I got for, actually, let's pause. Let me talk about the size. So, sorry, this video might be a little all over the place because I feel like there's a lot I want to share and I need to start organizing my notes. For the size for this agenda, FC Compact to me is probably going to be what I start leaning towards. I have a lot of personal inserts. So what I think I'm going to do, and this is all new, right? Is any reference inserts, I think I'm fine based on what they are, right? Like the reference inserts in here, these are all, like I've mentioned, when it comes to the size of the insert, these all work. And so these are fine. I'm not gonna get rid of my entire personal collection, but what I'll do is I'll probably keep one agenda, like one personal agenda to have personal inserts. But I think I am gonna make a switch to FC Compact when it comes to scheduling inserts / whatever I wanna keep in my main agenda, because I'm just loving the size and I think it's what I need. And there's a few things that I found that I really wanna go over in this video. So when it comes to FC Compact, let's go over the size itself. So I'm gonna grab a vellum and a dashboard. And I'm also gonna grab my A6. Y'all know I have been loving my A6. And I think part of the reason why I love the FC Compact so much is because it's very similar. So I wanna say May Paper Co has an incredible YouTube channel. I already love her content. But she has a really good video on using a Louis Vuitton agenda, and she puts in FC Compact, personal wide, personal, and A6 inserts in hers. So I watched that, I believe, at the beginning of the year, and then I also watched it again when I was going through the different changes. But I think it's important to note A6. One, it doesn't really fit in here like it does. Like you can make it fit. It looks weird, to be honest. But I think the size width-wise is comparable, and I'll show y'all what I mean with that when it comes to these inserts. And I think that's why I'm loving them so much, because I've been loving my A6, right? And so these are just a little bit longer. So you have your sheet here. And so here's A6. And also, May Paper Co's channel mentioned, I didn't know this part, and maybe this is, other people are gonna learn this, or maybe it's like common knowledge. A6 is A5 split in half. Did not know that at all. And then if she like folded it up and then compared it to an A5, like a piece of paper, and compared it to A5 and A6, and I was like, oh, I did not realize that. So if you're ever interested in the size and you just want to get a reference on what it looks like and you have A5, just literally put it in half and that's what it looks like. Kind of like hamburger, like you did in school. That's what A6 size is. And then what I really love, so let me zoom in. And this is something that I noticed when I was planning in both of these agendas the other day, is what, let me remove this actually just to make it easier. So here's A6. And I don't know if y'all can see this, but if you look at the lines, right? So here's one line. Look at the line on the FC Compact. They're pretty comparable. And remember how I said I loved the space in this? A lot of reasons why I move out of agendas and why I feel like most agendas don't work for people is because of the type of insert and like the space you get, right? Some people can do a consolidated view. I personally can't, right? And so that's why I go back and forth with like personal, and then like why I like switch things up to see like what kind of space do I need for this. And so the reason again why I think I'm loving the FC Compact is because that's such a comparable space. And if you really look at it, right? So if we line this up like this, look how much, like it's a little over, right? But that's all like white space. And then this is just more compact, but you get more room up here. So based on whatever insert it is, if you like A6, you like the width, but you feel like you might need like some additional space, FC Compact might be for you. That's something that when I was seeing how it lined up and that you get the same space, that's what I was like, oh, so that's why I've really been liking it, right? Like it makes sense too. And so that's compared to A6, compared to personal. So I just have a bills tracker and then, like I said, a vellum. These are Infinite Lotus, right? All Infinite Lotus. We put these in, and then here's the size difference when it comes to personal. So you get such a narrow view, right? And like, again, based on whatever the insert it is, it could be like what you need, right? It could be perfect. However, I personally, when it comes to scheduling, need more space. And this little, whatever this is, 2 millimeters is probably everything that I need when it comes to planning and like having a good amount of space to stay in. And so again, I'm trying this out, but I really like it and I think it's gonna work. And that's one element, right, of staying in an insert for me is it enough space? The other is how I set it up and how I use it. And so that's kind of what I want to go into now before we do as we do the April setup. Okay, so if you saw my plan with me from maybe the last plan with me, maybe the one before that, I shared my page flag system and how I use page flags, or how I've been using page flags in my weekly to help with like tentative planning. So typically page flag system is like, a lot of people put them on cards, right? So Maddie Plans created the task page flag system, and it's nice because you can do tentative planning without having to cross things out. I personally like to set it up for the week so that way I can move things around, but I want to keep it in the agenda. I don't want to remove it. So usually you have like one page flag and you move it around the entire planner. I don't like that. I like having it for the entire week. There are some things, right, where I can use a page flag system for, like finances, right? However, I want to be able to go back and be able to reference it if I need it, like what day I did when. And so also like with that, I like the idea of like being able to move this throughout the week because I like have to move things around sometimes based on whatever's going on, right? And so I don't want to cross things out, white things out if I don't have to. So this helps with just tentative planning on a weekly basis, but also at the same time for me, I get to keep it in here so I know what I did and when. Otherwise it'll be completely blank, right? And like that's not good for me to go back and reference, and I do go back and reference things a lot. You probably see that in my videos. So with that in mind, that's staying in the weekly because it's working great. For the daily, I'm doing something similar. So let's go in now. I'm gonna show y'all how this is currently set up. It's the most simple setup. And then what I'm currently doing. So I have this quote vellum from Infinite Lotus, which I absolutely love. I'll have everything linked below that I can link. And then I paired it with this vellum that I found from Sequins and Paper. Unfortunately, her shop closed. I absolutely loved her. Nicole's amazing. All of her stuff is so beautiful. but I was going through looking for some A5 inserts and this randomly fell out, and I was like, oh, I could cut it down to FC Compact because I wanted a new dashboard for my FC Compact, because I was just using this quote card and then like the 2025 that came with these. I got another dashboard from Infinite Lotus. I don't know, I'm not a fan of it anymore, so I just took that out, and when I found this I was like, oh, I can cut it down. I don't like making my own inserts. I don't do it unless I can like print on the exact same size so I don't have to worry about cutting, because like I don't know if y'all can see, it's like crooked as hell. I'm just not good at cutting. I don't have the patience for it. I don't care for it, but like I'll cut a vellum. Like I've done that once before, maybe twice, and so I cut this because I just really wanted it in here. But yeah, it's crooked, and like you'll see it'll come out, but it's good enough. Also, this is technically for fall, but I love how it looks in here. And like there's the Hermes Oron sandals, like that's spring and summerish, right? And like coffee's year round. Ignore the fact that it's sweaters, but like I also live in the PNW. People, like I'm still wearing sweaters, right? And I'm wearing a hoodie right now, like it's 55 degrees. So we'll ignore some of this, but I just also just love the way it looks in here. So right now this is gonna be the current duo. And then all I have in here are the daily inserts. So these are daily half-hour inserts, again from Infinite Lotus. I started really like back planning on the 17th to kind of like experiment with the page flags, because that's like what I like to do. I always back plan at least a week or two, one for reference, but also just to try it out with known plans. I highly recommend it if you're trying new inserts. I do it with everything, like weekly inserts, monthly inserts, like anything. I always try and back plan to help with like getting an idea of how I'm going to use it, or different ways I can use like a newer insert. And so I did that with this, and like trying to figure out what I want to do with the page flag system. And so there's certain things that I put on the, and here's what I use. So I use the Spotlight page flags from Cloth and Paper, as well as the matching matchsticks. So they are the palette number 1. I love this, as y'all have seen in my A6 content. And then I just put it in here too. But these colors are Mykonos, Aspen, and Lagoon. So I also have the Aspen circle page flags, the Mykonos page flags, the Aspen page flags, so all that matches. And then there's the Angora. They didn't have the Mykonos, but like I just got these because it's just like a different type of gray. But I have just been using a variety of these, and I just love the color scheme. And so what I've done is within here, similar to how I set up my hourlies, which y'all are familiar with, I have a lot of meetings because I work remotely, and then just with the nature of my job, unfortunately. And so what I typically do in an hourly, I don't like to put in too much work inserts when it's personal, or too much work things when it's personal. I want to separate that whenever I can. But there are times where I just want to block out the meetings. So I used the page flag with the Aspen circle to have when my meetings start in here, which I always do with the hourly. I always put in my hourly view, like I'll start the block where the meetings start, even though I work before and after that, right? But that way I just know like that's when the meetings start. And so it's kind of like a start time. And so I have that throughout my planner on all these days. And so with that, I like it because if a meeting pops up beforehand, I can move it up. If a meeting pops up, or if like a meeting gets canceled and it comes late, right, I can move it and I don't have to worry about it. And with the nature of my job and with how meetings work, literally a meeting can change 5 minutes before, right? And so I can easily update that. Typically, you know, it's not that big of a deal if something gets canceled and I'm already like working. But like if I already preset everything up the week prior, right? Because that's usually what I do to set things up. And you know, anything can happen within like that full week, right? Like this 8 a.m. meeting could be shifted to 11, and then like I already have the 8 a.m. in there if I would have written it down, and same with everything else. And so this helps me so that I can come in, initially throw in everything, and then move it as needed throughout the week. And again, loving that system. It's working great. And then it's the same with working out. So based on whatever I start, so since we moved to Washington, everyone is Central and Eastern, and so I try to work earlier. So some days I start at 7, some days I start at 8. It doesn't really matter for the most part, unless like there's a meeting or something, right? Or I set like a meeting. And so I'll get off at different times, or I might take a late lunch to work out because I don't want to go when it's too busy. I like going when it's like slower. And so workout times can vary based off of when I am off, and same with errands. And so I might go on lunch, I might not. And so having these on page flags so I can easily move it around, so I know when I'm going or when I don't need to go, or if like, for example, I just don't end up working out this day, like if I get sick, I can easily move it, right? So I have that on a page flag. I have the errands, and then I just started putting like, I have this little Netflix thing, so my husband and I have been watching Daredevil, just to have it on here because it's fun, and right, it makes it a little different. And then like I have sports in here, and then anything where there's like a priority, I put like a page flag for that there. But overall, this is the kind of flow that I want to continue to use because I feel like it's working. And so for the April setup, another element that we're gonna do, and I'm saying April setup and not a weekly setup for a reason. So we're gonna be referencing my agenda, my A6 agenda. We're primarily gonna reference my monthly, oops, sorry, for April. To ensure that we get like everything in here. And then I pre-set up the page flags to make this video not like 5 hours long. And so this took maybe 15 minutes to get them all out, but this is gonna be for a good chunk of the month. And so one thing that I've noticed when it comes to daily, with my personal planning, so I don't use this every single day. I might not need to use it, right? Like if I'm just need to relax one day after work, I probably might have it open to reference the hours, which is again the main reason why I'm in here, but I might not use the to-do section because I might not have anything to do, right? It just might be something that I don't want to write down, whatever it might be. However, what I have noticed is that when those do happen, a lot of times is that if it's not pre-filled out or pre-set up, then I'm like, oh, well, I have to go in and set it up, right? And then it becomes another thing to do, and I kind of, like, to me, I'm like, oh, well, that's just another task. And so then I just stop using it until I feel like I need it again. And so my hope is that with this page flag system in place where there's tentative planning, right? I can come in, pre-fill out everything that I know is going on, and then I can still easily adjust to changes with this type of system. And so that's hopefully what's gonna work. And I honestly feel like it's working so great in the weekly. I don't know why it wouldn't work for my daily, but again, this is an experiment. We're trying it out. I'll share the results as we go along. But I also feel like, you know, filming this type of content with you guys will help me like with the consistency of it. And that way I set like one like time to kind of do this at the beginning of the month. So it's not a lot throughout the month. And then it's easier. And it might not even be a month. It might be like once every 2 weeks or so, because like, as y'all can see, especially with the month that I have for April, like I'm gonna be out, so I'm not gonna really use the planner. So I might be able to use most of these page flags like throughout most of the month. But what it will probably end up happening is like, I'll probably do like first half of the month and last half of the month or something like that. Well, again, we'll see, until the page flags run out, right? So that's the current game plan. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay, there's a lot going on right now. Okay, so what I need to do now is for the weekend. So I want to use the circle page flags to mark when I'm working on my dissertation. slash just blocking out time to do that. So here's this. So we're gonna do Saturdays, right? And so right now, honestly, it really all depends based on whatever we're doing, if we're doing anything. So I'll tentatively put just these blocks on Saturdays, and again, can move it around as I need them. So, oh wait, did I do the one where I'm traveling? Travel. Yeah, I did. Here it is. Not this day. I will not be working on dissertation. I will be out and about with my best friend doing whatever she wants for her birthday. So, come on. So let's get this Saturday. And then there should just be one more. Right, yeah. We'll put this here. All right, and then other than that, like I said, so I have all those page flags. These I'm gonna use within the weeklies. So I'm not gonna move these in here because I think I made these for the weeklies. And I was just batch making a bunch of them. The primary ones that I'm using in here are the spotlights. So I think this is a good initial setup for me because it will, as I've mentioned now multiple times, and I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over, but now I can tentatively plan. I have approximate times for things, right? And then I can adjust as needed throughout the weeks. And then also I might get to the point, this is something that I'm considering doing, when it comes to like meetings, so these inboxes, so I'm not constantly making new page flags, right? Like I know that's not realistic. I'll probably keep the workout ones as is, but I think with inbox, what I'll start doing is, and this is a maybe, once meetings actually happen, or I know what I'm starting, I'm gonna actually write in the meetings, or like have a time block and actually write in the confirmed times throughout the day, and then move the sticker to like another week, right? Does that make sense? Like, so for this, like once it's 12 o'clock here, once I have that meeting, I'll just probably write in meeting or something like that. Or if there's, anything that I need to go back and reference, instead of just keeping the flag here for like work, I'll just write it all in on what I did and when. And then anything I want to go back and look at, and then just reuse the page flag for that purpose. And I think that'll work out best. Okay, so yeah, other than that, that is the current setup, how I've been using, going to use, plan to use this agenda. I feel like this is a lot of information, so hopefully y'all liked it. I didn't want to put up, I think it's annoying to not put everything in one video, so I try to put everything in one video, so hopefully the length is okay. But yeah, I really like it, and we'll do a check-in probably again post-travel. We'll set up the rest of the month, right? Or I'll do a plan with me to set up the rest of the month, and that way we'll do a check-in, see how it all worked, and then we'll kind of tweak the system from there. But yeah, that is it. Again, for the setup, all I have are these inserts in here, and then I have some note inserts from, these are from Hobby Lobby. So these are slightly larger than normal inserts. So they actually they're a halfway point between like normal personal size inserts and then FC compact. And I don't care if they're off because they're in the back and they're really just to reference and to write things down. Like I was just writing down content ideas back here, as y'all can see. So actually we are working on this one, medium ring FC compact setup with page flags. So we can check that one off. And I already did the monthly. So we're good there. So yeah, we have that. Again, this is the setup. It's very simple. So just daily inserts, note inserts, and a page lifter. At one point I mentioned I might add deco. We'll see. We're good with this, right? I love it. It's working. That's all that matters. So yeah, other than that, that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And thank you guys so much for watching.